I'm ready.
Okay, this is session 93. Who can give a recap? Dustin obviously was not here.
So I remember we were talking about were continuing the conversation about what to do with the um people, the army leaving, and where to go, whether to go to the Southern Sage or to Darmersha, um or rather to like kind of what we were going to go do and how we're going to go about it. But then we also got to the discussion of um what we were going to try to sacrifice, since the Southern Sage requires a sacrifice. So there was a lot of talk about that, and whether we could sacrifice T-Hole, whether we could sacrifice this gem of seeing that was about to be auctioned off, and whether it was worth stealing that. And then, so we decided to do some research at the library, to get some more information, and then discovered that the Southern Sage really, primarily, the sacrifices have all been souls of people. Um, Generally, a particular number of souls, but could be fewer if it was a person of particular power and influence within the world. Additionally, the Southern Sage accepts items of unique items that are not otherwise found in the world, or have some special um, uh, have some special relevance to the world at large. And then that kind of got Clave thinking, why not sacrifice Turbo? She sucks. We hate her. And why not, two birds with one stone? Um, so that was Clave's position. I don't know how
Right?
popular
And
it was.
Zarya suggested that he could just convince her to sacrifice herself. Not confused Aurelia as to how that would work.
No. It's not what I said. I said we could convince her to come with us.
Okay.
Because we're gonna show her where the wand is or something. I don't know. I'm not a very good liar.
Yeah. So that was discussed. And then there was some discussion about, okay, well, how would we find her? And so once we got that information, we decided that we were gonna start traveling to Darmersha, and then we kind of circled around Darmersha to kind of get a lay of the land, and then we decided to we found a particular inn that seemed like it would fit our needs, and so we're now in that inn. Clave changed the two rooms that we were given to connect them, and also make them a bit more securable. And that because this innkeeper apparently has the same key for every lock in the place.
Just for the guests, the same key for all the guest locks. His locks are secure.
Oh, yes, obviously, of course. And so we had kind of settled in, and Clave was about to go and speak with some of the Dragonborn who were in the inn to try and get a better sense from the Dragonborn perspective of kind of what's been going on in and around Darmersha. I also remember outside of Darmersha, beyond the walls, there's an intense storm that is going on for miles around. And so the sky is covered in thunderclouds that darken the horizon. And I think there was mention of frequent lightning strikes, or there's something else as well about it that I can't quite recall at this time.
It is
But
thick. You didn't actually see like rain. You just saw the clouds, but there are occasional strikes of lightning you could see flashing in the clouds.
so
That and the city is somewhat overcrowded because
mhm.
there's a lot of Dragonborn trapped in the city, plus an increased presence of Imperial troops in the city. The troops aren't so much, most of the troops are not in the city. They've been moved outside and have camps set up somewhere near the Sea of Glass. Food prices have skyrocketed because the Imperials are buying up as much supplies as they can. And so also, and the caravans and trade have largely otherwise stopped because usually it would have flowed from the warm lands to Darmersha and then off to the coast. But now nothing can pass through Darmersha that easily. There's not as much trade. And it's, the slums of this city are now pretty densely packed with Dragonborn, as most of them fled with the clothes on their back, so don't have a lot of money. And so most of them are just sort of squatting wherever they can in the poorer parts of the city. You also created a lake off the side of the river.
Yep.
In fact, roll me a D100 because I forgot to. I actually thought about it at the time, but wanted to think more about, what is this lake doing to like the river traffic and the river in general? Is the river draining into the lake? Is the lake draining into the river and just dumping water downstream?
Oh shit. I just created an ecological disaster. All right, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Ecological
off by
fucking
10.
terrorist.
And everybody also make me a wisdom save.
I don't wanna. Does T-Hole have to? He's immune to scrying.
That's true, but maybe a wisdom save anyway.
Made. Oh, I also, if it is anything like that, I have my
Ring.
yeah, non-detection amulet of non-detection.
Okay. So yeah, there was a whole like undersea base in this lake where you could look up and see all the fucked up fish Clave created as part of his illusion.
That's the other thing that's being deposited at the end of the fucking river. Like, what the fuck is this?
All of the reverse mermaids are washing up on shore.
Fucking mangled fish downstream. The army, which hasn't arrived yet because we're way faster than it, is gonna see these weird fish and be like, what the fuck? There's definitely something wrong upstream.
Well, I mean, that is part of it too. So, it's like if the lake is flowing into the river, that's increased flow is like slowing them down as they try to row upriver. And you already saw some of the Imperials were just stopping to figure out, like, just to inspect the giant lake that nobody expects to be there. Also, the Havaz, the innkeeper who only has one key, also had a weird moment where he, Clave had said he doesn't want them just like coming into the room, and said Havaz, who has a problem with adventurers to begin with, because he said they frequently pick up curses. And at one point there was a curse that came in and there was mummies and it was not good. So he grew to be wary of housing adventurers. Clave then said, like, well, we have objects that of value that we don't necessarily want walking off. And Havaz was wondering if these are like evil objects, but referred to them as objects tied to the outer darkness. And there was a tense, weird exchange between them. as Clave was suspicious as to how he even heard the term outer darkness. And Havaz was clearly not voicing all of his thoughts. So just basically said, like, he just meant evil, not necessarily much more than that. But it's not clear what he really meant by it or where he heard that term.
Yeah.
And T-Hole was naked in a hot tub in the room.
We figured he would have wanted it that way.
So what time of day is it?
It is basically, well, what time were you? We were traveling mostly at night. So it is probably just like afternoon.
Okay. So like we travel mostly at night and like we just woke up and it's the afternoon.
So you were traveling mostly at night, and then the last leg of your journey would have started essentially like it would have started at night and carried you a little ways into the morning. And then you landed in the city, saw a bunch of people, eventually found this inn that you're in now. So it's, 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Gotcha.
So you've actually been up for many hours at this point.
Zarius is probably cranky as hell.
Yeah, I don't
Not
know
cranky.
what this does to his sleep schedule.
I'm not cranky, you're cranky.
This
Oh.
this bath is delicious. Clave, come in. I won't bite.
This is awkward. Clave's not in the room right now. He's downstairs, like looking for the Dragonborn.
That wouldn't stop Teal.
Like
True,
looking
you-
around, where is it?
You do have your magic voice where you could like shout 200 feet.
I have an empty spot in this bath, Clave. Make sure the whole compound hears it.
Like it rattles the fucking windows.
So you don't see any Dragonborn in the bar. It is still pretty full with people, but none of them are Dragonborn. So according to Havaz, they all have rooms on the first floor. So,
Right.
which is the same floor that your room is on, your 2 rooms.
Yeah, I don't think I would start knocking on doors and just being like, "Hey, you want to talk?" So I think Clave would probably go back up to the room and
Just use your key and be like, "Oh, wrong room." Hey, how you doing?
yeah, we'll wait for the middle of the night for that drink. Get him real riled up. So yeah, so Clave would walk in to the room and say, "So Havas is an interesting character. He, despite my protests, he is still going to do daily room checks with his wife. Strange."
Are you saying that downstairs or did you?
No, I'm in the room now.
Should not matter. It's not like we would leave anything valuable here.
No, but the room is quite different than I think he'd remember.
Well, yes.
He seemed rather put out by the fact that we were adventurers. apparently he has fought mummies before, some curse from other tenants that had come through. Also, he spoke of the outer darkness.
The outer darkness, you say?
Yes,
You think he's part of the cult of Thurisban?
I would not go so far, but the fact that he is aware of such things, I don't know how common that knowledge is around these parts, but he seemed concerned by it.
Aurelia, maybe you can ask him more about the outer darkness to see how much he actually knows.
Like what? Why do I want to go talk to him? He
Just
seemed
how-
too chipper. Obviously, he's not aware of it.
That's fair. Well, maybe he's just not aware of the inner darkness, but he's in tune with the outer darkness.
Or he just has not been there.
What are we doing here again?
Resting.
I'm in a bath.
Pit stop.
We've been traveling all night. We should get some rest.
Not that anybody in this world would know what a pit stop is, but
I don't know. Those chariot races may be pretty intense.
you know what? Maybe they have pits. I don't know.
I'm sure they have pits. So what is it that you want to do? You would all be starting to get kind of tired, given that you traveled for most of the night to get here.
Yeah, I think Clave would definitely want to start winding down, but he would also mention, by the way, Zarius, I know you wanted to speak with some of your kin. There are at least 4 Dragonborn that are staying here, though I had forgotten to get which rooms they're staying in, but they're on the 1st floor.
I'm sure that I will see them at some point. Given the proprietor's dislike for adventurers, it is not likely that they are anything of the sort. Perhaps in the morning. Well, I forget. Did this place have like a public space where you could like order food or something?
There is a tavern downstairs, and there were tables, so presumably you can order food.
Yeah, it was 1 gold piece for 1 beer, so it's expensive.
I'm sure that was a special deal just for us.
Well, it was their it wasn't even good beer. It was their Miller Lite version.
Yeah, it was the Hasbro special.
Can't even use it in a legal setting.
I ordered the Spelljammer and all I got was like 1% beer. Not even enough to get me drunk or even slightly hammered.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's non-alcoholic.
Would they even know how to make that?
I mean, I assume they could make a non-alcoholic beer-like thing by just giving you the unfermented beer.
It's fair. Do we plan on staying up do we plan on traveling again at night? Or are we trying to shift our schedules?
There was some talk of gathering more information about what's going on in the Warmlands here, which I think is why people wanted to talk to the Dragonborn.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't know what exactly is going on beyond the walls of Darmersha. Or the, if there's been any updates regarding the conflict with the demons and the giantkin.
Yeah, the Dragonborn and the Imperials might have. They probably would be our two best bets for gathering any amount of information.
I'm gonna avoid.
Sorry, I was going to say, and you also don't know where Turbo is. So if there is a goal to try to get her to come with you or whatever, kidnap her, someone in this town will probably have more information on that. Plus, you didn't really find information on what some of the terms on the map meant. But there are a lot more adventuring types and map makers here in this city that cater to adventuring types that probably would know what those terms meant on the map.
Yeah, we don't know what a king stride is. Can we even call ourselves adventurers? I mean, geez.
I'm just imagining the king stride as like a form of a silly walk.
Oh, by the way, Zarius, I know you'd spoken earlier about possibly using your magic to seek out Turbo, but due to circumstances that we don't need to go back into, we were both there. Your mirror is no longer here, but perhaps this will help. And Clay pulls out and extends the spyglass.
Perhaps I would have to try tomorrow. I do not have this prepared.
All right, and he folds it back up and puts it in his pocket.
Well, I think I'm gonna stay up for a little while. It's gonna be no good to wake up refreshed in the middle of the night.
Yeah, what time was it again?
It's 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I would attempt to try and stay up. I would probably pass out immediately. Taking
So
off
is
like
anybody doing anything other than fighting off sleep to try to get a normal sleep schedule back?
I would be cleaning my armor as my attempt to stay awake.
Yeah, I mean, Clave could probably be just studying his magic, his shadow book, and also looking at the various spells that he's picked up from the Iterans.
T-Hole is going to, a little bit later in the afternoon, he's gonna go downstairs and see if he can get a tea. From the bar.
So you would find that they don't have a supply of tea, but they would have coffee. If you wanted coffee.
You don't have tea.
We are very stretched in our resources. Normally we would have a selection of teas. However, we don't keep a large stock of it, and most of it was bought up early on.
Where does a man have to go to get a hot cup of leaf juice around here?
there could have been someone who might have had some access to tea in the marketplace earlier. However, this late in the day, I doubt there is any left. You could try the marketplace and see if one of the sellers there may have some tea leaves for sale. I would be surprised, as I have not heard of much trade in tea leaves going on these days. Again, as when you first arrived, I mentioned all of the caravans have stopped coming here except from the Sea of Glass itself. So we only get supplies that we can get from the port at the Sea of Glass.
Yes, I remember. I was just hoping that tea was amongst them. Well, I suppose I'll have a small cup of coffee. And don't suppose you have any bread.
We can supply bread. And he turns, they actually have a very elaborate silver coffee set up behind him. And you can see puffs of steam are coming off the top of it pretty much constantly. And he pulls a lever and brings over a cup of a very almost thick, very dark brown coffee. And then a woman comes up from a back room, and she brings out two small rolls of bread.
Tea will bite into them and sip his coffee.
That will be 2 gold pieces.
Yes. And he throws down 3.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me know if you need anything else. Would you like some butter?
Oh no, I prefer it unsoiled. Thank you though.
And he collects the coins, goes off to a different customer.
So yeah, Teal will just sit there for a little bit and kind of casually observe the room.
So the room is mostly filled with humans and halflings. There's an occasional half elf who comes in or leaves the establishment. You would gather most of these people aren't staying here. But for whatever reason, this place does seem unusually packed for like a late afternoon. And there are a variety of people, all of whom you would guess are probably family members of the guy behind the bar, who come in and out of the back room with food, serving it to people around here, mostly meats and cheeses and bread. And after a while, you probably would pick up on the fact that you haven't seen even like a single piece of like fruit.
Yeah, makes sense. So T-Hole flagged down the tavern, or flagged down the bar. Can't think tonight. He'll flag down the bartender and say, this place seems pretty busy. Is everyone here guests?
No, other than yourself, I'm not sure any one of these people are staying here. At the moment, we do have 2 halflings who are staying on the 2nd floor, and there are a few dragonborn staying here, including your own friend. But none of these people, the halflings might be in here somewhere behind other people.
What is your reputation to bring in such a crowd?
Well, we were very well stocked with food when the shortages began. So our larders are perhaps not full, but more full than many of the other places. So at the moment, if you want meat or cheese, we are a very convenient stop, and we're close to the center of the city. So people who are coming and going can easily enter here. I suspect our reputation has been somewhat enhanced given our relatively free stock of food, and the fact that we do not sell to Imperials, who only buy in bulk anyway, but then that would leave me with essentially nothing left to serve.
Oh, good for you. They don't deserve an ounce of your cheese.
I agree. They are creating more problems than they are solving, at least for us. For the Dragonborn, I'm sure they are a blessing, but for Darmersha, they are ruining my business.
If there was a message that you could you want to deliver to anyone in the imperial, anyone in the empire who would have an ear to listen, what would it be?
That the Dragonborn, as I understand it, aren't being murdered wholesale. They're simply being ruled by a different set of rulers. Open trade again. Let people cross the border. Let them trade. The giants want money, not bodies, not blood.
That makes sense. I was just curious. How long ago was this covered before? Like how long trade has been dried up here?
No, he didn't really go into that. But trade began to drop off as soon as the giants invaded and began taking over the warmlands. But it really was sealed off when, well, around the time that the storm clouds appeared over the warmlands. That's when the rulers of up north downriver decided to seal the walls and not allow trade caravans through.
What did the giants want to trade? You
Well,
say,
I
we should
don't-
open borders, but what if trade stopped because of them? What can we do to start that back up?
Most of the food, at least most of the perishable foods, the agricultural products that come into this city come from the warmlands. At least they did traditionally, because of the farmland along the riverbanks. Also, there was a great trade in gemstones that this city used to use to make jewelry. I don't. That is not my line of business, but it did bring a lot of people through the city who would stay at my inn. So business in that regard has fallen off too. Like I said, as far as I know, the giants are more than happy to simply make coin. They probably would allow trade to continue. Trade was continuing, albeit at lower rates, even after the giants started attacking things. It is the rulers of our nation that decided to stop. I suspect, I don't know for sure, because the giants are in league with these demons, but the demons haven't been anywhere near the wall that I've heard. It's only the giants who are mostly up north, and the demons are mostly down south. And the southern portions of the land, I guess, might impact the gemstone trade a bit, but not the food trade. On my side of the business is mostly dealing in food products. As far as I know, if we agreed to open up the wall again, the caravans would continue, but it would be the Dragonborn bringing things to and fro. Or, the non-Dragonborn population of the Warmlands. There is a theory that the ruling family in Ilkaja are purposefully trying to starve out Darmersha in order to make Ilkaja more wealthy. I don't understand how that would work, since I imagine Ilkaja also benefits from the wealth of Darmersha. But some people believe there is a nefarious plot afoot. That perhaps even some of the people who go missing here in this city wind up being part of some sort of demonic ritual. I have a little more faith in our rulers than that, but you will hear it if you talk to enough people.
I don't. We just came from Ilkaja. I doubt that they have any sort of plots to strangle Darmersha. That seems rather outlandish.
Well, I think the rumors, depending on who you talk to, some people have even more outlandish rumors that the ruling family in Ilkaja is in league with the demons and the giants, and it is part of a greater plot. Though it seems to me that they are in league with the Imperials, and that may be the plot. You will hear that rumor as well, that Ilkaja has already agreed to rejoin the Empire. That I don't put much stock in, but it seems more likely than that they are working with the demons.
That's an interesting rumor. I have no idea.
Remind me, I don't remember the last time you cast Seeming. And I'm just curious as to what T-hole looks like. Is this normal T-hole or is it B-hole?
So I cast Seeming the minute that we got into Darmersha.
Okay, so
So
it's B-hole.
he is B-hole.
Yes.
What about you? What brings you to the city? You're not tomb robbing, are you?
No, we would sink to such low work. No, we simply have business in the Warmlands. Our companion is returning after being away for a long time to see what he can do to make things right.
What could he possibly do to make things right? Overthrow all of the demons and the giants? I mean, perhaps you have armies backing you up. I don't know, but they certainly have armies.
Well, there are ways that don't involve armies, but we aren't quite sure yet, but we'll figure it out.
Well, if you can overthrow the giants and the demons, that would certainly get things back to normal here. And perhaps even the Imperials could then pull out and leave, and the economy would return to normal again. That would be greatly appreciated.
Who's profiting the most from the lapse in trade?
I don't know. I imagine there must be some benefit for the Imperials to be here in the first place, as it seems like they're spending enormous sums of money, which is fine for those who have things to trade. But as I was explaining to your friend, it is a complicated structure, the way goods flow around here. Like, I sell you food and it costs you 2 gold to buy 2 simple rolls of bread and a coffee. And you'd think I am making money, but I have to now replace the wheat, the flour, the salt, and the coffee. And I will have to go and pay heightened prices to get that back if I want to restock. So I am not making as much money as you might think, despite the high prices. And who can I complain to? The local branch of the ruling family? I could try, but they would not care. They are the ones who decided to close the border in the first place. And they don't care about the struggles of one innkeeper.
Is there some sort of guild that can act outside of to help secure lower prices and secure or at least go in and bulk on items?
I don't think so. As far as I know, as far as I have heard, every dock in the port on the Sea of Glass is currently filled. Ships must come in immediately, take their cargo off, and then leave the dock, because another ship will need to come in and unstock and remove all of the cargo from the ship so that it can come in. And that is the way in which the city is being sustained as it is. So there are merchants probably further north, places like Il Shabazz, that are probably making a lot of money from this. It seems to me the ruling family should be losing money. How the empire probably is just hoping to take back the country back into the empire, since it doesn't, I don't see how them spending money on expensive supplies is otherwise doing anything for them.
Wouldn't put it past them. They do like to grab up territory.
Yeah, the ruling family has raised taxes on the rest of us, so I guess they've used this as a justification for that.
Hmm. Giving me much to think about.
So when will you be leaving to overthrow the giants? And he chuckles at that, as you can easily see he doesn't really imagine that that is a possibility.
Theo Theo probably wouldn't even notice his countenance. And say, maybe tomorrow. Got to get a good night's sleep before overthrowing a regime. It takes a lot of energy.
So will your friends and you be wanting breakfast in the morning then?
Yes, that would be great.
I will make sure then that it is brought to your room when we come to inspect.
So I don't mind me if I'm in the nude. You're more than welcome to come in. Just don't be surprised. I'm giving you a courtesy warning.
I will make sure that I am the one who comes to check then. Normally I send my wife, but I cannot have my wife see you nude.
You could both check.
So
You reach out and touch his hand.
yeah, make me a charisma check.
A seduction check.
It could be right. It could be a persuasion check if you're proficient.
I'm not. I'll just do a charisma. And click that one.
Ooh. The magnetism.
Roll
I
for
don't-
comeliness.
Yeah, I still don't imagine I would want my wife wandering into your room, but I do hope that you and your friends have a good stay here at least.
We shall.
Which room are you staying in? It was either 7 or 8. Those were the rooms you got.
I'm in room 8.
Then I will make sure the breakfast is brought to room 8. The rest of your friends can come to your room if they want to partake. It'll be enough for all of you. Remind your friends, if you intend to stay more than just the one night, we will require additional payment when I come in the morning. Otherwise, we will settle the bill then.
Very well. Have a good night.
You don't happen to have any pull with the ruling family, do you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. How will you get through the wall? I mean, there are gates, but the gates are sealed as part of the defense against the giants.
Oh. Maybe see if we can petition the royal family and get a writ or whatever the procedure is. How does one get through those gates? By the way?
As far as I know, the Imperials have the permission to have the gates unsealed so that they can move troops or something through. At some point, presumably their entire army will begin to move through the gates or by ship around the walls. But as far as I know, the gates have been sealed for the past 6 months without anyone coming through. That said, no one would tell me if they unsealed the gates from time to time.
I'm sure they have. They'd have to unseal them at some point to get through to other cities and the warm ones.
Well, they do say that, every city I'm aware of on the other side of the wall is currently taken over. There was some rumor that the Dragonborns took back Sakara, but then the Giants took it back from them after that. So for a brief period of time, maybe the Dragonborn were back in control of one of their cities. Otherwise, the Giants have conquered that country at this point.
Hmm. Well, I suppose we'll figure it out.
And they also, by the way, say that the Imperials use dark magics sometimes. So perhaps they don't even need the gates. Perhaps they simply send, and I have heard this rumor too, I don't know the truth of it, but that they send spirits out to gather information on what is going on in the Warmlands.
Spirits, you say? Are they like ghosts?
I have only heard spirits, whether they are ghosts or something more foul even than that, I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. They have a particular affinity with the undead. Anyways, I'm getting sleepy despite this strong coffee. I must take my leave.
Very good. If you do petition the royal family, please do raise to them the possibility of allowing some trade again. I would never get an audience.
If I do, if I'm able to, and the trade opens up, can we stay here without our rooms being checked in every day?
Sure, why not? The reason we check their rooms is first because we must collect their rent for the rooms every day. But second, you are clearly adventurers from the sort of equipment you carry. Adventurers are hard on furniture.
The bed was sagging pretty low when Zarius got into it. It's not a worry though.
But yes, if you can somehow restore trade, I imagine you will have the thanks of many people here in the city. You probably would have your pick of places to stay, hospitality to enjoy.
I can't wait. And until tomorrow. And T
I
will get
see you
up
in the morning.
and return to the room.
And you can see he starts chatting to the guy who was sitting next to you about how hard it is to be a merchant in this town. So it's still pretty much like middle of the afternoon when you go back upstairs.
They've got coffee downstairs in case you need a little pep in your step to get you through these next few hours.
Would we know what coffee is?
Yes. I mean, you would have
Okay.
seen, I mean, coffee is actually a pretty common thing, at least in most of the civilized areas of the empire.
Okay. But I would say I don't think I need coffee just yet. Maybe depending on how I feel tomorrow.
The bartender seems to be convinced that the Giants are more interested in brokering trade deals than they are conquests. Could be an interesting angle. If we ever have the opportunity to parlay
with the giants.
with giants.
Uh, but they're in league with demons. Even, I mean, whatever their goals, trade is not one of their priorities. They seem more conquerors.
They do seem that way. But maybe we just haven't heard their side of the story.
They're slaughtering the Dragonborn. I'm pretty sure whatever story they have come up with to justify their atrocities is not necessarily legitimate.
Do you think it's all giants? Or just us the ones in power that are leading the charge against the Dragonborn? I haven't really considered it.
I think an occupier is an occupier.
I'm just determined if I've fallen asleep. Hold on. If I roll above a 65%. Hey. It could be that they are just convinced to work alongside the demons. And if that is the case, then we might be able to present a better deal.
What deal?
He doesn't get killed. Their leader tends to be a pretty good motivator.
I mean,
Convince them that the demons will never have their best interest. At
why
least
would they listen to us?
if we are capable enough to break into his location, it might show that we are capable. Someone worth
leader-
listening to.
The leader of the giants is supposed to be some kind of revolutionary in his way of bringing about the different types of giants under his banner. I'm not sure that somebody like that is good to keep allowed to keep breathing. The risk it's just too great. Look at what he has been able to accomplish. Sure, if we are able to convince them not to continue with occupying your kin's homeland, what would he set his sights on next?
The mind of a giant is likely quite foreign to us. Chances are we will have to kill him, but it is something to think about when we get to that point.
The
I
The
suppose
end-
it will depend on how it unfolds. I mean, we're assuming that we're going to meet him in the field of combat and that we may overpower him or prevent him in some way from engaging and instead listen to us talk. Seems unlikely.
We deal with the unlikely every day.
I mean, these are your people's areas that are being killed and enslaved or occupied. Um, so if this is if you are preferring to use diplomacy rather than force, I mean, I suppose I will trust you, but that doesn't seem like the wisest route.
I agree that it is unlikely that it will ever come into fruition, but if we see the opportunity, we should consider it. They could be a powerful ally.
So we'll see. I mean, for what it's worth, the innkeep is will loudly complain to anyone within earshot about how trade is down and how it's affecting his how it's affecting his business. Yet he still seems to be quite profit, or at least quite busy, having he mentioned that he has a unusually full, unusually stocked larder of meats and cheeses. So he gets a lot of customers specifically looking for meats and cheeses. So a desire to increase trade could just be driven purely out of could be biased towards, is likely biased towards his proclivities, which is increasing his larder so I can get more people in. But something worth considering, seeing if there is more there. If others feel that way about trade with Giantkin.
I will not hold my breath on the prospect. I do not expect it to happen. It's just something to keep in mind.
And Tihol, you got this from the conversation with Havas.
Yes.
I don't know how much we should stake on the words of a merchant. Clearly has bias and investment, and I do not know that he may be the most well informed on the situation beyond the walls and the plight of the Dragonborn. And in fact, he may not even really care about the Dragonborn because it is hurting his business. I think we should first learn more about the situation before we begin thinking that this is just an economic.
Oh,
peril.
I completely agree, and hence why I guarded such information, or not guarded, but disclaimed that he's a merchant who has his own biases. A merchant who I say appears to be doing rather well, given the times and given the economic situation in the city. But that being said, it's not something you hang a hat on, but it is an idea that's could be worth mulling over. And seeing if there's more truth there. From others. But I'm with you, Clave. You should have some coffee. It's great. They were out of tea. Unfortunately.
I do not feel like becoming jittery. Especially when it is so close to bedtime. What time is it anyway? Is it time for bed yet? I am so tired.
It's like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh gosh.
It
Hours.
is right, and it is blazingly hot. There is no air conditioning unless you installed air conditioning in your illusionary room.
I just put a block of ice right in the middle and a
Just to tease us because it doesn't fucking work, right?
no, I mean it does create temperature differences, not necessarily ones that can create any physical harm, but that it can do that. And I would set up a mechanical mermaid with a tail that just fans the ice block to get some circulation.
The real question is, where does the melted ice go?
Into the tub.
And when that fills up?
Yeah, I mean, you may be underestimating what Mirage Arcane can do. Like he literally could set up a system of channels in the floor and have it all drain into a system of channels in the floor so that there is just cold water circulating constantly under the floor.
I'm making them have to sort this shit out. These are my follow-up questions, my open-ended
Right.
open-ended
And actually,
questions.
yeah, I hadn't even thought about the fact that it was hot in the room and Teal had his hot bath and was getting like humid from the bath.
Because honestly, I just kind of imagined Clave. He just put a hole, and it's just like draining down into somebody's room.
Yeah, there are no rooms below you. It would be draining
Well.
down either into like the area under the stairs or more likely directly onto the patrons below.
Even better.
Right.
Although nothing's like adventurers.
Right. They have somehow flooded the room without the toilet.
Yeah. I will just say Clave is much smarter than me, so I'm sure he would figure it out.
Well, I mean, so Clay would have the advantage of the fact that, like, in the Empire, it's not so common to have cooled floors, but it's super common to have heated floors. Like the baths and the steam rooms all have heated floors because they just run hot water constantly underneath them. So it would just be a variation on that. You literally could do a kind of air
Oh.
conditioning.
Yeah, I would definitely do that in the floor and the walls, the ceiling. Just get the room all nice and cool then. There'd still be the big block in the center though, because that's the thing that's driving all the coolness.
So this may be the most comfortable spot in the city then, temperature wise.
You outfitted the entire fucking inn. It's like, you know what, Havas? I got you. You're gonna want us to stay here. You're gonna pay us to stay here.
You know what? I mean, there's no reason I couldn't, and then just have people be like, really like, what the hell is going on? Why is it so cold in here? Oh man, this is awesome. But I think he's gonna hold off on that. Clave is going to be selfish.
What an asshole. Not sharing your ice with people.
Hey, I'm sharing it with you guys.
And don't even try and compare this to the diamonds, because those diamonds are way more valuable.
With you guys and who's ever in room 6. Because he's got one super cold wall.
It's like building up moisture. Where's my wall wet?
Watching like frost kind of creep up.
Right.
Like, it's hot. Why is there frost here?
And it's in room 6, it's one of the Dragonborn, and he's cold-blooded. He's like, what the hell is going on? It was so nice before.
So,
So yeah, it is probably going to be daylight for another 5 hours. Like 8:30, it probably will get dark outside. I mean, you could easily just close the shutters on the window to darken the room.
yeah. Yeah, I guess. I
We
mean,
wish. Do
there's
we
no
wish to
reason we
try and
couldn't
gather?
rest more than 8 hours.
So should we try and gather information on this map? Try and get more clarifying details. I'm not sure where we would go to do this.
Perhaps there's a library, or we could see about local map makers.
Sounds like there's a marketplace. Perhaps there is a stall with a cartographer.
We could do that. Do we wish to wait till the morning, or do we want to take this task up now?
When I was talking with Havas, he mentioned that the marketplace might be a bit empty at this time of day, which was an hour or so ago. So it might be better to return to the markets in the morning.
That would make sense. The temperature probably has a great deal of effect on the timing of the markets.
So you're going to rest then?
Yeah.
I'll play my water phone a little bit.
Good rest.
Give everybody a nice tune to sleep to.
What's Aurelia doing?
Casting silence, I hope.
Trying unsuccessfully to go to sleep, but there's 3 ninnies in the room that just keep talking
Yeah.
and talking and talking.
Cold and humid and his water phone playing.
For anybody that's forgotten.
Oh yeah.
So how loud are you playing the water phone? Like, are people below hearing this?
Well, I guess it depends on how thick the walls are.
Which is entirely up to you.
I don't think anybody outside the room would hear the water phone.
Okay.
Oh, lucky us.
Which makes it extra echoey inside the room.
I mean, did I create the room to enhance the acoustics to play my water phone? Yeah. Absolutely.
I honestly, like, I would probably like sort of lay down, and the moment you started playing that, I was just like, take that outside.
What? It is. Soothing.
Quiet is soothing.
He'd start playing again just to test. See what Zarius would do.
Let's see here. What spells are at my disposal right now? You're not hurt right now, right?
Oh,
Okay.
not yet.
I don't want the Toll the Dead to hurt you real bad. No, you know what? Here's what I'll do. Well, I'd have to stand up for that. I don't want to do that. I cast Bane on you.
Okay, so I just play worse now.
Or better. Oh wait, no, that's not bless. That's not I was thinking of bless. Like the
Oh wait,
No, it's literally the opposite.
Bane doesn't affect ability checks, does it?
No.
That's saving throws and attack rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, let's see if it even. Oh yeah, it hits.
I just like look back over my shoulder. My eyes go dark.
Okay, so now Clave is just playing a water phone with a sense of doom in his heart.
Yeah, sad water phone. Suddenly Aurelius like, hey, this isn't as bad as I thought.
I think T-Hole is able to shake it. It doesn't really affect T-Hole. I think like with his monkly or his monastic wisdom, like he's able to kind of just block it out and focus on his breath and calm his mind.
After
Normally I might be able to do that, but we're like, my sleep schedule's way off. You don't want to. Grandpa's sleep schedule's way off. Okay, so.
which is, I imagine we're at this point because of the traveling we've been doing over the last week that we're really have been in cramped spaces together, and we're all really tired and all wearing on each other, and we're all kind of picking each other a little bit. So, but after Zarius was so determined.
After Zarius finally falls asleep, he's like, okay, I'm done playing the water phone now.
So I cast the Bane on him.
Yeah, at one
and just say, do not continue it here.
So it takes him a minute before he stops. He's like, I don't, just not into it anymore.
Take it outside. Maybe you can get some money.
No, I think I'll stay here and just get some rest. So Clave would start getting to sleep.
All right. Okay, good. Because I had another step if it hadn't continued.
Now I wish it had continued. I'm curious what the other step was, but maybe it'll come up some other time. So Aurelia and the T-Hole I know is going to sleep. Aurelia is going to sleep as well.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody make me a perception check with disadvantage.
You changed the locks, right?
Oh yeah, well before we go to sleep, not only are the door is locked, but there's stones that move in front of the doors.
Oh, that's right. You did have that last time.
Yeah.
Perception check, you said?
Mhm. So Zarius, even though you were asleep, you did hear something at the door. It was faint, but it roused you a bit. And as you open your eyes, you realize it is dark outside now.
Okay.
And you probably slept for about 8 hours at this point.
Yeah, but does my so I know I don't have the keen mind, but like I definitely have a keen sense of when the sun's gonna rise. It's just innate whenever you get to this age.
Mhm.
How long do I got?
You would guess you're probably still 5-6 hours away from sunrise.
Well, I'll sort of like keep an ear out for a moment just to see if the rattling or the attempt to get in or whatever continues.
Yeah, it wasn't so much attempt to get in. It sounded like somebody was sliding something under the door. But you can't
Probably
see
didn't
it
have
'cause
much
there's-
luck.
Right. You can't see it. Well, I mean, so there is still a door. Whatever it was, you can't see it because the rocks are in the way. You're not sure how far they managed to slide it in.
Right. So am I able to reach that? I could take a moment to get up and check it to
You
see
could
if
move.
maybe I could. I
You
don't know
probably
if I
have to
could
move the rocks to
Yeah,
get out
you're not
whatever
gonna
it
be able
was.
to do that by yourself. They're like 700-pound rocks, boulders. Really, is what they are.
There was even more structural reinforcement of that floor than I realized. There are 700-pound rocks resting on it.
They're like printer floors,
Mm,
but on the second floor.
damn. My push drag lift is 480, so I guess I can't.
Stone shape.
Yeah, I could stone shape it. Stone shape your illusory but real fucking stone. I don't know like the nature of the stone that you put in front. If like I could like reach with a staff to pull the thing out or whatever, but
No, I mean they're not like, he didn't go into the detail of like having them on like a sliding hinge or something, anything like that. These are just like he used his uh his illusory reality ability to just like teleport the stones in front of the door.
got it.
He didn't even need to teleport them. He could have just like created them, but he likes the aesthetic of having the stones next to the doors. So, but if you want to wake Clave up, he could really quickly just do that and then.
No, I'm not that concerned about it right now. I'll be up before you anyway, so it's fine.
So
Also,
yeah, you could probably, given that, your sleep schedule still is what it normally is, you could probably go back to sleep. You don't necessarily need to if you didn't want to.
No, I'm gonna.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. I have to go to the bathroom.
Same.
Yeah, last session, there was also speculation that given that you were like the first pharaoh of Tholt, that the sage almost certainly knows of you from back then.
Makes sense.
And so then I role played that you said that, hey, maybe the sage owes you for something you did for him back then. And then you wouldn't need a sacrifice at all because he owes you a favor.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, that makes sense. It's a good angle to go to. Could be interesting to learn what the if it were true, it could be interesting to learn what the favor was. You know. I'd imagine it have to be something to like get him to like say his sage status. Because like the southern sage wouldn't just need a favor in his current form.
Right, but I just imagine T-Hole would just assume there was something that he could
Yeah.
do. The legend of the Southern Sage suggests that he is even way older than T-Hole.
Yeah.
Like T-Hole would have been, if T-Hole was the first, assuming T-Hole's first life was as the first pharaoh, that would have been around around 5,000 years prior to the present date. But the Southern Sage would have been around 10,000 years at least before that.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, T-Hole was T-Hole, so.
Yeah. Sure, there's some strings he could pull. Maybe his pocket dimension just wasn't as cozy as it could be.
Right. Although it also occurred to me, I just figured it wouldn't occur to T-Hole. Maybe he has a grudge. T-Hole does all sorts of things that piss people off. That seems, if anything, more likely.
One of these days, T-Hole will meet someone that his past self has worked with that actually enjoys his company.
I also wasn't necessarily sure how you would feel about them sacrificing Turbo, but listening to you today, I'm reminded that you probably would be cool with it.
I think T-Hole would be mixed feelings about it, because like he's like, he hate, he like loves to hate on her, but like in terms of sacrificing her soul, like that might go a little far for him. But if she did something to really piss him off between now and that meeting, his feelings could change.
So you don't hate her quite as much as Clave does.
Well, she did stab Clave in the back and nearly kill him. So there's that.
So you essentially all wake up. It is approaching dawn. You've all basically overslept and probably would be somewhat closer to a normal sleep cycle again. I guess, did Zarius go back to bed? Was that what we decided?
Yeah, I would have, yeah.
Okay.
But of course, still been up at the ass crack of dawn. So
Right. You would probably wake up a little bit before your normal time.
yeah, that's fair.
Clave gets up, yawns, does his daily ritual of casting mage armor on himself, and then casts seeming on you guys. so that you can appear as your alter egos.
I would just say, I believe we got something slid under the door in the middle of the night.
How?
Actually, before I forget again, is Zarius disguised as a different Dragonborn or someone else?
I would have asked for Dragonborn.
I would have disguised him as Mirex. I don't
And
know.
who's Mirex?
The alter ego Zarius chose at one of the seemings.
Wasn't it just like, wasn't Mirex like exactly like Zarius except a different color?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I don't even think Zarius would have remembered it. Like fully.
Well, Clave would have with his keen mind. So but it was another Dragonborn. I just don't know how closely it looked to Zarius. Different enough.
So, Zarius, you would know that you heard this thing being slid under the door probably at around 2 a.m. It's probably about a little, like 3.5 hours after that.
Yeah, I'll indicate that something was. I heard it slid under the door. Obviously, it could not make it all the way through.
Oh, let me take care of that. And Clave waves his hand, and the stones. 1 minute they're in front of the doors. Next minute they're to the side.
And you do see like the corner of a piece of paper has been slid under the door. Probably most of it is still out in the hallway.
I'll grab it. I don't know.
Let me just send you a message.
I'll look for any evidence of tampering since it was sticking out most of the night.
You don't see any evidence of tampering. I should actually change this because it's you reading it.
Do I recognize the handwriting by chance?
No, you've never seen the handwriting before.
No signature or like a letter or something indicating who wrote it. All right. I'll show it to others.
No, he shows you a letter in what to the rest of you looks like it could possibly be in blood, but it's hard to say. And it says, "They know you are here, Colossus in the Deadpools. You should take care as assassins are being hired."
His assassins are being hired.
What was that?
Did it say, you said his assassins are being hired?
Take care
No,
as
just
assassins are
as
big.
assassins.
Well, I'll bet this is the work of Turbo.
I just hope they make it quick.
I don't know anyone else that would send assassins.
And the letter itself does have little like the ink is in a fairly fine, it's a fairly fine print. But there are little splotches of this red ink it's written in.
I have proficiency in forgery kit and alchemist supplies. Could I determine if the ink is actually ink or if it's blood?
I mean, you could make an investigation check or a medicine check.
It's definitely blood.
I didn't even require Zarius to roll to identify that it is definitely blood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My passive medicine is 25.
Zarius, do you have magic that might be able to identify the source of the blood?
Not that I know of. I suppose maybe I could use it as a focus for a farsight spell. Speaking of, I need to prepare.
What about you, Aurelia? Do you have any magic that might give us more information about this note?
No, I mean, we should be, I mean, who would want us dead? I can't imagine the list of people that are out to kill us.
You raise a good point, Aurelia. Who would want us dead?
Turbo. It's Turbo.
Turbo isn't. It strikes me as odd that Turbo would be so uncouth as to write a message in blood.
I don't think the note is from Turbo. I think the assassins are Turbos.
Well, that makes sense.
Real question is, who here would know of the Deadpool's
Well,
nomenclature?
It doesn't have to be anything special. Perhaps one of the people that Turbo hired is a fan and decided that they would rather warn this group based on the fame that you have procured, though now I see not completely genuinely.
We have told people that those magazines were inaccurate.
Regardless, it could be somebody that just became aware and thought perhaps they could gain favor, or perhaps it is some benefactor. Though I don't know who would, one, know that we're here, and two, be in the area to provide such a note.
Perhaps we can check with Havaj to see if he was aware of any late night visitors.
if but not to show him the note.
No,
he would
definitely
become
not.
quite alarmed.
No, we just say we were disturbed in the middle of the night by someone rustling around outside of our door, and if he happened to be not see anybody who might have gone up the stairs, or yes, that would definitely well, he thinks we're getting out today anyway, and frankly that's probably not a bad idea. See if we could find another inn if we were going to stay for another night. in the city, within the city walls.
And perhaps we should adopt new disguises.
It is likely that someone has been successful in scrying upon us, just as we have done to others.
Yes, but still, let's not make things easy for them. If we can disguise ourselves, it may create enough of a distraction that could help.
Agreed. I will take on the role of Seahole.
She-Hulk?
No, Seahole.
Perhaps a regular shift in our appearance might be in order.
So, who do you wish to appear as?
I wish to appear as a young, beautiful female in their late 20s, long brown hair, wearing desert clothes, fair to look at, with a scar on her left shoulder.
You get none of that.
Damn.
Clave is actually intrigued, and he says, "That is quite a detailed description. Is this somebody that you actually knew?"
No, I've always just looked in the mirror and thought, what would I look like as a woman? And that's what I see.
So, speaking of mirror, Clave is going to use his what is it called? God damn it. The malleable illusions to create a mirror upon one of the walls, and then he will change T-hole based on the description and provide the mirror to say, how is this? Is this what you are looking for?
Just make that big enough and I can fucking scry from there.
Build out 1,000 gold pieces.
It's just temporary. We can't keep it. Seems like a good compromise.
This is what I had in mind. Thank you. I feel like a woman.
Right. Although if you're in desert clothing, you probably can't see the scar on your shoulder.
Yeah, I know. It's to add mystery later in case somebody or something tries to rip the clothing off.
Remove the
T-hole
illusion
Does
of
that,
clothing.
does that include yourself?
Yes.
T-hole immediately strips down. He's got to examine every detail.
That's true. Since you've been like cloaked in an illusion all this time, you've been missing an opportunity to just go naked 24/7.
Yeah.
Just free balling.
But if T-hole chose to explore the figure, he would find a third nipple strategically placed on one of the ribs.
And it's just like a full dark nipple.
It's lactating.
Wave, I think I'm leaking.
And then Clave transforms himself into a young halfling man wearing also wearing desert robes, but and then carrying a sign of the four churches. Is there like a a type of, I don't know, something like a cross or something that the four churches usually
There's
bear?
not one, yeah, there's not one holy symbol for the four churches. Every priest is a priest of one of the four gods.
Mhm.
So to the extent that there's a generalized symbol, it's usually just a shield that's in four quarters with each of the four symbols.
Okay. So then he would do that, but then he would also have Melora, a Melora symbol. And then he would turn to Aurelia and Zarius. All right, which one of you are up next?
We should just be nondescript.
You mean without a third lactating nipple?
Correct.
4 lactating nipples it is.
Well, Teal's disguise won't be apparent unless he actually like disrobes.
Have
But
these assassins shown up yet? Where are they?
I've called them over an hour ago.
to your point, Zarius, perhaps you're right. If I need to appear as one of the priests of the church, I can easily change this disguise. So he just is now wearing nondescript desert clothing. So Aurelia, Zarius, who do you want to be?
It does not matter.
Okay.
I would say I trust your judgment, but that's full Theron right there.
Well, while Aurelia considers, Clave turns Zarius into a half-elf man. And yeah, with like general desert clothing.
I still have to be old, otherwise it would just be weird.
Yeah, you're bald and you're old.
Sure.
So actually, probably looks a lot like Tony actually does, except with slight elf ears.
So how tall is the half elf?
So yeah,
Because
that's a good
how
point.
tall is Zarius?
Quite.
Within within 1 foot of what Zarius is. This might be a very, very tall for a half elf.
Yeah.
I mean, anomalies happen, but if you want nondescript, people might
And-
notice a half elf that's 6.5 feet tall.
Yeah,
I'm
so
6'9".
Okay,
After-
so
after
five
looking at-
nine, 5'9" is more in a range that a half elf could be. So hopefully nobody just like tries to throw a frisbee like right over the half elf's head, because it would bonk into the real Zarius.
yeah, in order to prevent those kinds of things, Clave would just look and assess and he's go, that's not right. Let's try this. And then Zarius would appear as a half orc. So like Tony does, but with some fangs and green skin. Yeah. All right, Aurelia, you're the last one.
She goes and steps next to the mirror and looks at it and closes her eyes. So just go ahead and do whatever.
Okay. And since the half elf was unsuccessful for Zarius, Aurelia would become a half elf wearing nondescript desert clothing, and you would be a redhead with green eyes and freckles.
Trying to make her burn out here.
Well, that'll be the interesting thing. She'll never burn.
So your disguises are all in place as the sun does begin to come up.
All right, so what's next steps here? We had been planning to talk to some Dragonborn, see what their take is on the whole situation. We need to figure out about this map, figure out what a king's step is.
Do you think
Anything else that
able-
we needed to do here?
Do you think we'll be able to do you think we'll be able to fly over the gate without notice?
I mean, with Zarius's wind walk ability, we could fly over the gate pretty easy. Even if somebody did notice, they probably wouldn't have time to react because we'll be just too quick.
Right, I'm not worried about, I guess I'm less worried about someone noticing. I'm a little bit more worried about wondering whether or not there is going to be defenses that that they would be able to launch at us.
Well, we'd
I think
be
if we-
pretty hard to see.
If we go high first before they can respond.
Yeah, but we should figure out what's going on beyond those walls, because those storm clouds are pretty ominous, and so we should know what we're getting into.
I totally agree. Seems we should also head to the market stalls. We might be able to at least one, pick up some rumors, and two, I believe we were considering going to the market yesterday for something. I can't seem to remember what it was.
I thought we were gonna go to the market to try and find a cartographer.
That's it. Yes, so we should head to the market and then head to and talk to different enclaves of dragon.
Okay. So. Market first then?
Yes, before it closes or is picked over.
Just gets too hot. That's a good point. So we should probably do that. It's already getting quite late in the day, considering.
So we head down to the market.
Okay, so this inn is, as you noted when you were flying over the city, there are a lot of different marketplaces within this city. But this inn was just off of one of them. So the front door essentially opens up onto a large market square. You could see it being just half an hour after dawn. The market is just opening, and you could see there are some of the stalls are opening a little bit late, so you can see the stalls are opening up, but a number of them are open. There's not that many people there just yet, so it is relatively empty.
I thought it was later in the day. I didn't realize it was so close to dawn.
Yeah, you all woke up just before the sunrise, having gotten like 12 hours sleep.
All right, so do we see any cartographer stalls?
You do not, but asking around, people initially look a little confused because there's not much in the way of cartographers as a like professional seller of maps. But someone does suggest that you could either try one of the many taverns that cater to adventurers, or the Adventurers Guild, or if you really need a cartographer, either the Merchants Guild or the city council would have access to cartographers.
Clay would look at the group and say, you know, if we were to go to the Adventurers Guild, they might have information on if assassins are being hired, what kind of local assassins there might be.
They might be the assassins.
It's possible, but anyone can be an assassin. Kind of the point.
I would be keen on heading to the Adventurers Guild. I think that could be seems like a reasonable place to get the lay of the land. I'm sure they'll have more information around leads or tombs or rumors of treasure, but those are valuable nonetheless.
Well, they also might have some stories about their own members trying to find the Southern Sage.
That's a great point.
So
So everybody make me a perception check. So T-Hole, you notice as you're having this conversation, there was a very faint scream, and you could see people are sort of gathered around the Happy Oryx where you were staying. Not actually like all around it, but like off to one side of it.
So I heard a scream and then people are gathering around like.
Yeah,
like
so you had to
once.
wander into the marketplace like quite a ways. You're probably like 200 feet away from the inn. But you could see like there is like a crowd of people now in like just off to the side of that building. And you did hear a faint scream.
We may want to, or I just heard a scream coming from the direction of the inn. We should wander over casually and see what the ruckus is.
okay, but everyone be careful. Remember, we got assassins looking for us. Possibly.
Say that out loud.
No, he probably doesn't. I mean, is Clave talking out loud, or is he talking in people's heads?
Oh, that's right. I do have that. So I would have said that telepathically. Yeah.
They're at least looking for versions of us. All
All
right.
right. Well, let's go see what's over there.
So yeah, we'll make our way back to the throng of people.
So making your way back over, you don't see so much at first because there's like this gathering of people in front of you. But you do hear people are saying that they found a body in the alley next to the inn. And eventually you see two men who appear to be, you're not sure if they're exactly city guards or what. They're dressed in light armor though, and fairly fine looking clothing. And they're carrying away, one having grasped him under the arms and the other by the feet, what looks to be a dead gnome.
Is it Does the gnome look familiar at all?
No, you've never seen him before. Darius, you would immediately notice he is incredibly pale, as if he's been drained of blood.
Wounds visible? In the-
Make me a
in the-
perception check.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
Couple-
definitely see there is blood around his chest. You
Mhm.
don't given how they're sort of carrying him, you don't immediately see where the wound is, but it like spilled down over his chest at some point.
Okay.
So it may be on his neck, but you don't see the wound.
All right. Well, I could just comment that at least. Looks like he's bled out.
All right. We don't recognize that guy. Nobody saw him earlier.
I could use Kepri to look to get a better look. So like have Kepri go invisibly.
Okay, so she make me a perception check for her.
God damn it.
Yeah, she really can't see it either.
Not if I was like looking through her eyes.
Okay, you make me a perception check then.
I just like grab onto T-Hole's shoulder and just like eyes glaze over. Come on.
So yeah, you are, as the head of this gnome is sort of loosely bobbing around, you eventually do see two needle-like holes on his neck from which the blood clearly has come.
Okay. Is the legends of vampires widely known?
Enough to realize that it fits their MO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just have Kepri come back and I'll return to my own body. Strangely seems like a vampiric attack.
Vampire.
At least it has all the signs.
Is there like what is the general like knowledge about vampires in this world? Like, are they particularly confined to like a corner of the world, or are they?
No, they're pretty universal. Like most undead, there was a time when certain kinds of undead were fairly confined, but then this nation called Thult split these undead armies everywhere, and pretty mixed it up pretty thoroughly, so that now you can find vampires across the continent.
You would have thought he could have written a longer note. Apparently, that gnome didn't have a lot of blood.
Hey, guys got to eat.
Telepathically, Clave is going to say, it is seeming less of a coincidence that this person has been drained of their blood, possibly by a vampire, and we've been threatened with assassins.
Why
I
would they
can't
warn
think
us?
of a more effective assassin than a vampire. Well, yeah.
That's a good question. Why would they warn us?
Well, I don't think the vampire warned us.
Well, why would you send a
Well,
message in blood?
So here's a question for you. Somebody obviously I heard them try and push the thing through underneath the door. Did I hear them walk away? Could I tell if they had a small gate?
Yes, you did hear them walk away. You don't think it was a gnome who walked away.
Okay.
It sounded heavier than that.
Okay.
In fact,
Got
you
it.
know what? Given your medicine check, this isn't going to necessarily be a cakewalk, but make me a perception check just to see how much you could figure out.
All right, there we go. Come on. Fuck you. You know what? To hell with
So-
this. I want to use an action point. God damn it. And then I'm gonna have to like spend a fucking like
Yeah,
ability score improvement to like give myself like actual proficiency in perception because I don't have it. I'm just passively very good at seeing things. You fucking shithead.
Got a +5 perception and it's not doing you any good.
Yeah, I mean,
My-
whoever it was, I would say you could tell that they were, it was not like a giant who walked away, but it was probably somebody pretty slight, but not like 45-pound gnome slight.
So
Alright.
Clave would say mentally, the note being written in blood could have been a clue as to the origin of the assassin, or it could have been a clue as to who wrote it. Do you guys know any vampires? Have you ever encountered any in your travels before I met you?
Didn't we run into some tax collectors once?
I just look at T-hole expecting like he's married one or dated one or somebody, there's somebody in the family line.
I'm afraid I don't know any vampires.
I mean, you did all know the seer from the void who had contracted vampirism.
Right. He was not gonna leave.
Well,
Didn't we
maybe
get
he's-
didn't we get the cure for him?
Yeah, although by the time he got it, he wasn't as sure he wanted to cure it.
Well, maybe maybe
But you're
he's,
you're right that it's very unlikely that he would have come here just to deliver that note. Sorry,
A
what were you
lot,
saying, Peter?
yeah.
Oh, Aurelia was clinging on to that hope that it was him, but you crushed it right there. Okay. Maybe there's a
finally
chance
somebody
we
who
could.
gets it.
Maybe there's a chance we could meet with this person. Who knows? Who knows who they're working for?
Wow. Telepathically, Clave is going to say, Sarius, did you prepare that spell that you had mentioned? Perhaps we should prioritize seeing the origin of the note if we can.
Yes. Though it will be difficult and may not work at all.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we still have the room for the time being, so why don't we go back up to the room and start that process?
Start walking.
You're
We're
right.
right outside of it, so
Yeah.
what's the
So you
innkeeper
go-
think of these strangers walking in and going upstairs?
Right, I was gonna say,
Oh.
you walk back in, but the innkeeper is not behind the bar at this point in time. It is some woman, a relatively young woman. So you're not sure if it's his wife or possibly a daughter or cousin or something. And she clearly notices you going up the stairs, but she doesn't react to it.
Excellent.
Did we ask if they saw anybody? I forgot. In the night?
No.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so.
Or else I would have mentioned that the bartender's not behind the bar 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
So
I
he
know.
is not there. He is not there yet. I would have mentioned that sooner.
Not a Warforged.
So you're
Alright.
back up in the room then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm going to seal the room completely airtight. I don't want any vampiric mist crawling through anywhere.
Hmm.
That is common knowledge. The mist thing.
It's in the lore that they can turn into mist and small animals and larger animals sometimes.
Okay. I just want to know if it would be reasonable for Clave to make that assumption.
Right. I mean, it's also, in the lore that wouldn't be coming for you now because it's daylight outside.
Yeah, it's true.
It's all there that like if you throw seeds in front of them, they have to stop and count them. You know all the lore. Can't come in unless they're invited.
It's now that I think about it, it could be that gnome's. Was it a gnome?
It was a no.
It could be that gnome's blood that this was written in.
Well, yeah. I thought that's what we kind of figured.
In which case, the spell will not work.
Well, it was the gnome's blood, maybe, but even if it was the gnome's blood, the gnome wasn't the one that wrote the note. So the person that wrote it would still have a connection to it. This is where magic becomes quite metaphysical in terms of determining what is a connection. Yes, there's a physical connection to the blood and the body, but also the intent, the messaging.
We shall see.
So he pulls out the spyglass and hands it to Zarius.
So it'll take Zarius a moment to sort of figure out how to perform this ritual with the spyglass. And eventually, I think he would sort of draw out the same sort of magical sigils and runes. I'll just like set the thing down on the table and draw them out. Normally I would draw them on the mirror and they would just sort of like stick to the mirror, the edge of the mirror or whatever, but I'll just draw them out around the the hourglass and then, chanting and reapplying the runes for 10 minutes. Eventually it sort of, I guess, coalesces and goes down towards the, like I imagine I sort of like stood the spyglass up so that it went around the base or the far end of where the light would enter. And then just like pick it up and attempt to see, I guess.
Okay. So what's your spell DC normally?
18.
So I would say this is clearly, you don't firsthand know this person.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely this is more in the secondhand category. So that's +5. But I'd say that, the letter is sort of a possession. So that's -4.
Damn it.
So basically I think the writer has like a +1 on their save.
Oh, here, this one.
It's a wisdom
Yeah.
save? Yeah, wisdom save. Yeah, it's not like it would be a possession, so -4. So +1 total. Oh, failed. You see what looks to be a fairly young woman, very attractive, very pretty, dressed in clothing that's heavier, much heavier than desert clothing and probably very expensive. But you can immediately figure out from the context that she is currently sleeping in a coffin.
I can't help but notice wisdom save vampire.
Make of that what you will.
So yeah, I guess all right. They're in the coffin. So I could like see within 10 around them and for like 10 feet. Can I like sort of zoom out of the coffin a little bit to see out just outside of it a little bit?
Sure. I mean, you could see that the area the coffin is in is pitch black. You would gather it's in a cellar of some sort. It appears as though wherever it is relatively clean, but it looks as though it's like a larder, like a storage space, although there's no food on the shelves. There are a few casks for what might be wine or ale that are up in brackets, sort of hanging above, around ceiling height above her. But all of the storage space appears to more or less be bare. There's a few boxes that might have some things in them, or crates rather, that might have some things in them.
Okay. So clearly in some sort of storage space.
Right. There's nothing obviously identifiable about where it is, though, except that it's underground.
Right. Okay. Well, it's like the middle of the morning, so it's not like she's going to be moving. So I don't really need to focus on this for 10 minutes.
Right.
But yeah. So I just kind of like set the spyglass down and convey this.
Make sure T-Hole has a look, see if he recognizes her.
This is fair. I should do this. Yes. It is concentration. I guess I can. Yeah. Here. Do you know this person?
Make a genealogy, Shay.
Does she look familiar?
You do not recognize her.
Might as well go through everyone.
Okay. Does Clave recognize her?
Actually, everybody make me a perception check.
Everybody?
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, now I do it.
So Clave doesn't pick up on this at first, and T-Hole is probably the first person to notice it. But eventually, like within a second or two, Aurelia and Zarius begin to realize that this woman, it's not exact by any means, but this woman does look fairly similar to the female form T-Hole has taken on. Young, sort of late 20s and pretty.
Perhaps a grandchild.
She's got good fashion sense, I'll say that.
Helps her blend in with the night.
So do you think she sent us the note? Why would she send us the note? Is she
That's a
trying to give us
very
fair
good question.
warning?
Are the clothes that she's wearing, you said they're like desert clothes?
No, they're
They're
not.
not-
They're
they're not like
decidedly
Imperial?
not desert. They're not desert clothes.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Are
Um,
they imperial like then?
They're not really in that style either.
Okay. Old style? Like
Out of
You would probably
time?
be, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I guess everybody, I don't know what sort of check this would be.
Aurelia would know.
A
if they
history
were-
check?
Yeah,
History
fashion
check?
check. Everyone make a fashion check.
Aurelia would know if they were like how old they were. I mean, if they were from her time.
Right, and they're not that old, and they're not really in the traditional imperial style. But I guess everybody make me an investigation check or intelligence check.
History check?
History, fine.
I just it's the same as my investigation, but I never get to roll history.
Yeah, literally doesn't
God
matter to
damn
me.
it! That's why I don't roll it.
Fashion killed Clay. Fashion killed him. He died from fashion.
Yeah, Aurelia,
You
you
know
would
what?
be.
No, fuck this. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna use an action point because why not?
Hey,
A little
So
better.
Aurelia, you would have noticed that you have seen this style of clothing before, although it's hard to place. And it was definitely, while you were traveling, you've seen other people dressed in clothing that's sort of vaguely similar to this, maybe not quite as fancy. Clave, you would be aware that this is a fashion from around the nation of Sanglem, which is outside the empire, but relatively nearby the empire.
Okay.
More Frenchified fashion, just so you can all get a picture of what she's in. It's kind of like Versailles level French aristocrat fashion she's wearing. So it's very fancy, very much filled with lace and frills. And the design and embroidery is impeccably detailed.
So does anybody know anyone from Sanglam?
Is that even a real place?
You made that up.
It's outside the empire.
It obviously doesn't count then.
I do not know. I don't think so.
I mean, I have to think that T-Hole, on some unconscious level, you must know this person. I mean, you chose a form that looks exactly like them.
I
Sorry?
mean, I wanted to, I wanted to. I've just always liked this look.
You may not be consciously aware of it, but you've been influenced in some way. Perhaps you've even seen this person recently. Maybe you saw them in a crowd or something and they caught your eye.
Teal, make me an intelligence check. This
Clearly
could be
there's a
investigation too, if you're
No.
so yeah, you don't quite remember.
Is there any way to send this person a message?
Yes, but I did not prepare that.
I would say send him a message and tell him we're willing to talk.
We'd have to do it tomorrow.
Would seeing this person be enough to qualify for sending through like the clairvoyant spell or whatever we're using?
Sure, if you got an action point, you're good.
I mean,
Let me just check the spell. I don't remember what the criteria was.
for sending, it's definitely enough. You just have to be somewhat familiar with them.
Yeah, it says a creature with which you are familiar. So I don't know what that. I would say sure, why not? Because that's fine. But I guess I
Wait.
don't know. I don't know what the intent was with our familiar. To me, familiar means something more than just I saw them one time. I saw a picture.
How much more familiar can one be when you're watching them sleep?
Yeah.
But also now this raises an interesting point when people are dissatisfied with the ruling class. I mean, everybody knows them. Just constant sending day in, day out.
Like I said, I've never really been clear on what they meant. Like familiar, usually to me, when I say I'm familiar with someone, it means I am a little more than I have seen them on TV. I vaguely recognize their face or something like that. It's probably not familiar, but
I mean,
it
You-
doesn't bother me. That's fine. Vaguely familiar is enough.
I subscribe to the idea that just because the spells that we have in the books are just the spells that we are likely to use. It doesn't mean that other spells don't exist.
Sure.
Like,
Mike's got a PDF full of them right now.
it's true.
That's true.
like-
Mike is busy writing all of them, though.
Like, like the do not disturb spell. But every fucking king and queen, has cast on them all the time. Or
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford the diamonds, then just non-detection all the time.
well, it's an evocation spell sending. So non-detection won't stop that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But with I'd be willing to use an action point to prepare sending, to use that. I don't have it prepared. Can I use the action point to have it prepared for this casting?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So Clay would be like, you don't need to. We don't need to wait till tomorrow, Zarius. I can cast a spell. What do we want to say?
We don't even know if they can reply, considering their nature and how they slumber during the day.
Oh, doesn't just because they slumber doesn't mean that they can't wake up. I mean, they might be cranky and get their sleep disturbed, but I don't think that's gonna prevent anything. I think replying now might be, or sending it now might be good, because then at the very least we know that she must wait until nightfall to really deal with us if she is an enemy.
If she were an enemy, I feel she would have
Yeah.
tried to actually get in and not leave us a note warning us.
It comes to strike me as interesting that Havas spoke of the ominous darkness, or whatever it was. He said. The dark was
Outer
it
darkness.
The outer darkness. He talked about fighting mummies. This person clearly was nearby. Perhaps she's in the larder here, in Havas's storage.
We could go down there and look. I mean, it's still early. We got a key.
He has a different key.
Yeah,
We
that's a
don't.
key.
We'll
That's-
find out. He could be just telling us that.
It's true.
Yeah. Why don't we just go look?
Yeah, let's look first, and then if we don't find anything, maybe we send a message, and maybe we make arrangements for something. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, considering now, I mean, I've lost track of all the people who are trying to kill us. It would be nice to try to get somebody like at least on our side who's not trying to kill us.
Yeah. And it's odd that it would be a vampire,
Oh,
but
beggars
know.
can't be choosers. And she's got good fashion sense, so I mean, come on.
All right. So now time to go into the larder. And see if
So you
it's
go
down there.
downstairs. There is a door that leads to a back room where you imagine the kitchen is. It's behind the bar, essentially, or at least right off to the side of the bar. And as you like begin to go to the door, the girl behind the bar is like, wait, what are you doing? You can't go back there.
Is there anybody else other than her?
You don't see anybody else. You did hear somebody start behind the door when you began to open it, once she heard the shouting. So there's somebody in the back room.
Okay. I'm gonna cast suggestion on her. And the suggestion is we're pest control and you want to show us the basement to make sure there's no pests.
Okay. I'm just gonna say she fails that.
Okay.
She's doesn't have class levels or anything. So she opens the door for you. You can see there's an older woman, probably close to Havaz's age. She appears to be making food, breakfast. And the older woman's like, "What are you doing back here? Breakfast won't be ready for another half an hour at least. You're the adventuring group, right? We will bring it to your rooms. I've been instructed."
Health
Havaz,
inspector.
Havaz should be back.
We're pest control. Ask her. She hired us.
We're all.
What's pest control?
Just making sure there's no pests.
City health inspector.
When did the city start having health inspections?
Times
How are the plague
changing.
doctors going to
Need to
get any
keep up.
business if health inspectors are ruining their business? So the mother and the daughter begin to have a heated conversation about the need for this pest control group to come in. And the mother's quite sure that you must be the group that was upstairs, or if not, you're just people who've come to raid the larder and steal the food. But you can see there is a very narrow staircase that goes up to the second floor. Although, you know, you're not exactly sure where that goes. It probably goes to the rooms, whatever rooms they sleep in. And then you can see there's a large, long trapdoor. It's about 5 feet wide, but about 7 feet long in the floor, just underneath this narrow stairway.
Okay. So while they're arguing, Clave would go over and try to open the trapdoor.
It is locked.
Okay.
Try the key. Try the key. Can
Clave discreetly try the key?
Sure. Although you immediately realize as you bring the key closer to the lock that the key is the wrong size to fit this lock.
So,
You mage arcana a key that fits the lock.
I mean,
Lucia Rosie were here. He could fail to pick the lock.
okay.
He would have never gone for this ruse.
All right. I'm going to cast suggestion 2 more times on both of them to just ask them to go for a walk outside the building for a while.
Cool off.
So they actually walk outside still arguing about the need for pest control.
and then I cast a third level spell because now I'm out of second level spells. To cast knock on the larder.
Okay, so you hear this loud knock and you hear the lock click.
Well, shall we? And he motions for somebody else to go first.
All right. Aurelia will head down there.
So even as you open up the doorway, you could smell the smell of just cheese and spices comes shooting up at you. And you walk down into what is a reasonably well-stocked larder. Like the shelves are pretty full.
Coffin.
And I
You-
take
you
out
do-
my my Lich Skull copper scepter, and cast light on it.
Nice.
So you light up the larder, and you realize looking at it, or Zarius does at least, this is definitely not the same larder.
This isn't it.
Well, it was worth a
Okay.
shot.
All clear. Is there any cheese nearby?
There are whole wheels of cheese.
You know, if we want to risk it, I have a large bag of holding. we can clean them out and have good food stocked for a while. No more plain what are they called? The prayer wafers or whatever.
Community wafers.
Yeah,
Community
that we've been
wafers.
subsisting on.
No, I don't want to rip them off. Aurelia's gonna head out there.
Clave will take a moment to look down there. And cast dancing lights to kind of illuminate the area. Because Havas seems weird. If he fought mummies and he's talking about the outer darkness, Clave just wants to do a cursory like check just to make sure there's nothing untoward going on down there.
So make me an investigation check. I mean, you could see that this room has definitely had other uses in the past. It's not always been a larder. You do find in the one corner of the area, there is what looks like a religious symbol, but make me a religion check. So you realize that carved into the wall, and not super long ago, like it's not ancient, there is what appears to be a symbol of Thurisdan.
That's going to make me look harder around that area. Is there anything else near the symbol that I can see, or any other Thurisdan iconography?
That is the only thing you found in looking through this place. It's just a black circle with lines with arrows coming out of it in the 8 cardinal directions.
Is this a symbol of Thurisdan, or it's a ward against Thurisdan?
From your religion check, you're pretty sure that it is a symbol that was associated with the religion of Thurisdan, the cult of Thurisdan in the past.
Okay. All right. So Clave will call up and say, "Hey guys, there's carvings of the cult of Thurisdan down here."
All right. Aurelia goes back down there and looks at it.
I wonder if they predate predate Havas or Havaj? Or if he had them in, or if he carved them himself. Or
Yeah,
they,
it's not clear. It is not clear how long it would have been there.
I'm gonna cast detect magic.
It doesn't detect as magic.
Anything at all besides us?
No, not down there.
Magic cheese wheel. So is the symbol like by itself in a sense that there's like, is there a bunch of crap in front of it? Or does it look like it's an area that's been cleared out?
It looks like the area has been cleared out. It's only about 3 feet wide.
Right.
But it does look as if there were formerly like sacks in front of it that were dragged away. And you can see there are sacks of flour. Mostly what's down here is you see flour, barrels of salt, salted meats, and cheeses.
There's no. I'll just like call over because others would be better at checking than I would be. That there are no hidden passageways that you could tell.
Not that Clave noticed.
Yeah, I guess I would just kind of look around and see if there's any kind of secret door or anything.
Make me an investigation check.
Full on like sconces and shit.
There's actually, you don't really see sconces. Like it's not clear what people use as light down here. It seems as if maybe they just like leave the trapdoor open. So whatever light comes in from upstairs. You also don't find
Okay.
anything other than the symbol. So that's as good a place as any to wrap it up with the mystery of why there's this symbol here before Dustin has a heart attack and dies.
yeah,
Needed
Or-
a turn.
fall asleep and fall down. One of the two.
So, and no clue as to how this relates to the vampire, if at all.
Yeah.
This is some coincidence.
We're just surrounded by mysteries.
All the mysteries.
Mhm.